It's a big week in Wildcat Nation. On Monday evening, Coach Romberg hosted his 33rd and final end of the season football banquet. And during that banquet, he honored his senior class, he honored members of his coaching staff, and he honored the families that are associated with this program. And in turn, during that same banquet, those players and family members and members of the coaching staff paid tribute to Jerry for his years of service and dedication to our institution and to the football community. Jerry told a story on Monday night about a longtime college coach that became his friend. He'd visit campus annually to stop in and meet with players and catch up with Jerry. And during that time, Jerry would share with him some of the experiences that he's had as the head of program for football at Westminster. And year after year, as he bounced around from college program to college program, he'd come back and tell Jerry, "Man, if you ever leave this place, you're crazy." What Coach Romberg did with that role over the tenure that he was in it is exactly what made this position so attractive to candidates at the end of his retirement. When he announced that retirement shortly after the end of the football season, it was really important that we opened a nationwide search for his replacement. I believe three things very strongly. One, this is one of the best high school football coaching jobs in the country. Two, this is the best independent school in the country. And three, as we look ahead for our program into the future in what is a very evolving landscape, it was really important that we went out and found one of the best high school football coaches in the country for our student athletes. Our community deserves it, our football program deserves it, but most importantly, our kids deserve it. For those of you who I haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name is Shannon Soares, and I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Athletics here at Westminster. Welcome. We're excited you're here, and we're excited for tonight's event. This moderated Q&A is not only going to introduce you to Coach Stewart, but it's going to shed some light on who he is as a person and as a leader. It's going to highlight his approach to the call of coaching, and most importantly, it's going to give you a sense of how he's going to attack this opportunity ahead of him and our program as he transitions into our community. Our moderator for this evening, Walt Daraso, is many things to many people, but above all, he's a parent within our community. He's a dad to Henry, who's a senior on our football team and on our baseball team, and he's also dad to little Walt, an adored and constant fixture that's a part of our community and across our campus when you see him. Walt previously served as our Catbackers president during my time here last year, and he played a really big part over the last year and a half helping people transition into our community as newcomers. Walt also played a pretty significant role in the search process for our new head of program for football, and he's had the chance to get to know Nelson pretty darn well over the last 5 weeks or so. You all, I am so thrilled to introduce you tonight to our new head of program for football, Nelson Stewart. Nelson comes to us after 26 years as a dedicated teacher and coach at the Isidore Newman School in New Orleans, Louisiana. Coach Stewart has spent 39 of his 47 years of his life on that campus at Newman. He went to school there, he played football there, and he came back to be a teacher and coach there. He was born and raised in New Orleans along with his wife, Emily. He played college football in the city of New Orleans, and he spent his time shaping his professional career in the city of New Orleans. Amongst many things, it's his loyalty to that school at Newman and his ability to build deep relationships with his student athletes, his colleagues, and people across his community, alongside a pretty darn impressive track record of sustained competitive success at what I'd like to consider a like-minded independent school like ours. that made him a hugely attractive candidate for our opportunity here. When we reached out to Nelson's references, he meant so much to them that some of them broke down into tears when talking about his impact. So we thought there's no better way to properly introduce Coach Stewart to our community than to ask his current and former players, his colleagues, and the people across the Newman community to share some thoughts on him. Please take a look.
Hi, my name's French Indusa, and I am the athletic director at St. Martin's Episcopal School. And I'd like to acquaint you a little bit with your new head coach, Nelson Stewart. Nelson was a former player of mine. He also was on my coaching staff for a couple of years, and he's also just a good friend. But more than that, Nelson is the kind of coach that every team dreams of having. He has a great rapport with his players. He has an excellent rapport with parents and the community that he works in. I can't say enough about Nelson and his dedication to the coaching profession. But more than that, Nelson is a great family man. He's a great dad. And once again, he's a great friend. And if I had anything to really say about him that means the most to me is that Nelson is the kind of young man that you hope that your son or daughter grows up to be like. You guys have an excellent coach coming. I can't say enough about him. We talk constantly, 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. I'm sure we will keep that up in his new adventure as he takes over the reins at Westminster. Congratulations, Coach Stewart. We're pulling for you, and I'm hoping to be up there for your first game.
My name's Eli Friend, and I'm a senior at Newman this year. Coach Stu has really had an immeasurable impact on my life. I've known Coach Stu as Coach Stu ever since I could really say the word football. He was one of my lower school PE coaches, a middle school football coach, and obviously my football coach for the last 4 years of high school. Coach Stu not only got me into college through football and taught me everything I know about the sport, but he's also been a trusted advisor for the last 4 years of high school and been an amazing person to talk to whenever I need someone to sit down with anytime throughout the school day. I'm so thankful that Coach Stu has been able to introduce me to all these amazing people that he has connections to and all these people that he's built amazing relationships with. And so I'm super thankful for Coach Stu.
Hi, I'm Darrell Berger, class of 1965 at Newman School. I've had a long history with Newman and with Newman's football program. In 1964, as a senior, I captained the football team. Then, 30 years later, I enjoyed going to every game as I watched Nelson Stewart captain the 1994 team. I subsequently had 3 sons who played at Newman, went through the program, one of whom was coached by Nelson. This was during the great Eli Manning era at Newman. And finally, for the past 18 years, I've enjoyed seeing most every game as I've watched Nelson win 162 games as the head coach at Newman. So I've known Nelson Stewart for a long time at a lot of levels. And what I can tell you is that there is simply no finer coach, there is no finer teacher or educator, and most particularly, there is no finer human being than Nelson Stewart. Nelson truly cares about his school. He cares about every child in that school, whether it's a lower school kid in PE or it's his star football player. It doesn't matter. Nelson has equal passion and equal empathy and equal connection with every student in the school. He will be a phenomenal addition to the Westminster community. He'll be a great friend. He'll be a great teacher. He'll be a great coach. Oh, and not incidentally, he'll win a lot of games for you, I can tell you. So, as you have found Nelson and hired him as your head football coach, I can say that for a school with the remarkable institutional qualities, institutional integrity, and institutional requirements of Westminster, you have found what I would call the proverbial one of one. There's simply no one else like Nelson Stewart in terms of his talent, his integrity, and is a great potential member of your community. So, congratulations to Nelson. Congratulations to Westminster. I hope I get a chance to come up there and maybe catch a game one night from the Westminster stands and watch Nelson win some games for Westminster and become part of your great community. Congratulations to all. Thank you very much.
I arrived at Newman as a freshman in the summer of 2008, about 5 years after my mom had began working in maintenance there. We come from very humble beginnings in New Orleans, and my whole reason for wanting to go to Newman was to carve out a path for myself and for my family that included a 4-year college experience and financial security, the two things that had been elusive to us as a family to that point. I and my family have gotten to experience both of those things and a lot more, in no small part because of Coach Stu. I had no idea what the college recruitment process was, but I let Coach know that playing at that level was a goal of mine, and he made it happen. He found a landing spot for a kid who was too small, but who had a lot of passion. In ways that I'm sure Coach recognized, but that I didn't come to until much later, him getting me into Cornell changed the course of my life forever. It opened the door to a set of experiences, into a trajectory for my life that will bear fruit forever. He quite literally catapulted a kid from the most infamous housing project in the city to the Ivy League and beyond, interrupting cycles that kids like me who come from places like where I'm from get lost in every day. And so my family and I are grateful and indebted to you in ways that words can't accurately describe forever, Coach. We love you, and we wish you, your family, and now the Wildcat community the absolute best.
It's hard to overstate the impacts Coach Stu had on me and the Newman athletic community. Coach Stu has the ability to bring out the best in his players. That is for sure. And the biggest impact he had on me was instilling this core belief that if you've got a goal, a dream, or a pursuit, even if you're not the most talented or naturally gifted, if you focus, commit to pushing yourself, and allow others to help you along the way, you can set out to accomplish more than you ever thought possible. And Stu didn't just instill that in me. He instilled that in a lot of his players. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another coach that cares more about his players, his program, and his community than Coach Stu does. And Westminster is extremely lucky to have him, and I'm extremely excited to follow along for all the success.
The impact that Coach Nelson Stewart's had on my life is pretty undeniable. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without him and his not just belief in me, belief in my capabilities and my abilities to play the game of football, but his courage to advocate for me in times where it was really tough to advocate for me. I mean, I was a 5'6" quarterback, trying to break down the doors at Stanford University and earn a full-time football scholarship. That doesn't really happen. Coach Stu had the courage to not just, put me in the game as on his own team, but to also, constantly call coaches, recruiters, get me on the radar of people, and not even just on the radar, but, when that door cracked open, he was the one who, really helped tear it down and bust it open for me, right? So, like I said, I just genuinely appreciate the courage that you've always shown, and the belief that you've shown in me and my abilities. I know that moving forward, you're going to bring all the best possible qualities that you possibly can to this new role, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck in this endeavor. And yeah, let's go get a ship.
Hi, I'm Colleen Lorzell. I'm the physical education chair and head volleyball coach at Newman in New Orleans. I've known Coach Stewart for over 30 years in 3 different capacities: as a friend since we were kids, as a colleague when we both started coaching at Newman in the late 90s, early 2000s, and as a parent of 2 boys in his football program. Over almost 4 decades, I've seen firsthand how much of an impact Coach Stewart has had on the lives of so many people. When my husband Jason and I asked Coach Stewart to be the godfather of our youngest son, Jack, it wasn't just because of our friendship or his experience as a coach. We saw in him qualities that we wanted Jack to emulate: his incredible work ethic, his unwavering loyalty and commitment to others, his passion for his beliefs, and his deep spirituality. Those were the qualities we hoped would influence Jack as he grew. And to this day, I can say Coach Stewart has embodied those traits in a way that's profoundly shaped not only our family, but the families of many others in the Newman community. Coach Stewart played a huge role in my oldest son, Will's life as his football coach, fanning a passion that led him to pursue football at the collegiate level. He helped our family navigate the college selection process as Will pursued his dream of playing Division I football. It was a stressful time for Will as he was trying to balance his academic and athletic aspirations. Coach Stewart used his many contacts in the college football world to help Will reach out to coaches, attend showcase camps, and eventually set up visits. He took the time to guide us and him through his options and make a decision, offering not only practical advice, but emotional support as well. Coach Stewart encouraged us to trust the process as we gained clarity and ultimately the confidence to make a decision that was best for Will's future. The level of care and commitment to Will's well-being went far beyond what a coach would typically do, and I'll always be grateful for his guidance during such a pivotal time in my child's life. Coach Stewart is the kind of coach and mentor who shapes lives for the better, not just through his expertise on the field, but through his character, faith, and dedication to those he leads. We're truly thankful to have him in our lives, and we wish him and the Westminster football program the best of luck in this next chapter. Go Cats!
Nelson, from my family to yours, congratulations. Obviously, your success on the field at Newman over the last 19 years speaks for itself. Accolades aside, Westminster has hired a true servant leader whose selfless approach targets both player maturation and development and coach growth and elevation. From a personal standpoint, in 2019, as you may remember, merely 72 hours after suffering a devastating semifinal loss, I underwent an emergency life-saving surgery. Throughout that challenging personal journey, you took the time daily to check on my health and well-being. And for that, my friend, my family and I are forever grateful. You have impacted thousands, not only in the metro New Orleans area, but also in the state of Louisiana. Because of that, there is no doubt that players and coaches alike for Louisiana will be actively supporting you and your Westminster Wildcats for years to come. Go Wildcats.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Coach Nelson Stewart to Atlanta and the Westminster community. Thank you. Nelson, welcome to Westminster. We're excited to have you and Emily and your kids here in Atlanta as a part of this Westminster community. Before we start, I have to take a moment. Mr. Darrell Berger, who I've known for 25 years and have the utmost respect for, my brother Richard and I, who's also a Westminster parent, had the opportunity to be fraternity brothers at Vanderbilt with his three boys. And I know firsthand the impact that they have had on New Orleans, on the Newman community, at Tulane, at Vanderbilt, and to receive a compliment from Mr. Berger as a class of one speaks to me more than probably anything we'll be able to say tonight. Over the last few weeks, as Shannon said, I've had the opportunity to get to know you and your wife, Emily, and just want to say that I have to agree with Mr. Berger, and just to let you know from my heart how happy we are to have you here. So you've gone through a lot here, so first question, I'm going to make an easy one for you.
Thank you.
I've heard you referred to as Nelson, Coach Stewart, Stu, and Coach Stu. What's your preferred name in the Westminster community?
Well, first again, thank you. I held on. That was a lot for me. I would say the majority, first, whatever's easiest. I think it's a new environment. Most people would say Coach Stu, and as I some players may have found at the first meeting, Coach Stewart, if we're a little late for a meeting at that moment, we're gonna tighten that up. But the majority I'd say Coach Stu universally, but whatever fits best.
Perfect. All right then, Coach Stu, tell us a little bit about yourself as a man, kind of your background and growing up.
Well, I guess, starting up, as you can see, I've been in New Orleans a while, but I did think about this. Don't worry, I'm not going to go running back. I one of those guys grew up again, uptown New Orleans. I was a ball boy under Tony Reginelli and the Rarity. I went on, we played middle school football, and I got to play with some great players, and y'all have heard me, Peyton Omaha. I can do Peyton, pretty good. So I grew up with those guys, and just great staff, great coaches. Buddy Tevens recruited me to go to Tulane University. Had a huge impact on my life. And again, I was a walk-on guard. And I played all these quarterbacks. Don't get this time. But I was an offensive lineman. Played there. Just great staff. Rich Rodriguez, Tommy Bowden had a huge impact on me. And I guess from there. Quick stop in the Catholic League, coached some offensive line. 26 years went fast. I took over as head coach. It was my 19th season. I took over a lot younger, Hurricane Katrina, and it was kind of a unique time in our school's history, but that's what they asked me to do, and my first staff was all my mentors. Interesting. So all the guys that coached me. So I learned humility pretty quick, and so I've been there a number of years, and I can say this, you don't get to stay that long without a great administration, most importantly, great players. We've had a number of great guys going through. I've enjoyed it, and I guess not to bore, that's my quick summary to Westminster.
It's perfect. Thank you. As a parent of a Westminster football player, I know many of our parents will want to know what's important to you in life.
Well, I think talked all about that. I think really for me personally, I think it's what the game of football can teach you about life. I think it's not just the wins; it's how you handle the losses and the adversity, and how it takes all 11 working together. I think that I'm so honored to take over for a legendary coach like Jerry Romberg. You see family and all the ideals. We had a great, almost 2-hour conversation today. I think we same a lot of same ideals. I think you're trying to mold men. So many of those players, all the adversity they went through, certainly weren't always the most gifted, but if you love them and you advocate for them and you teach them the life lessons, which I believe are important. This is a fantastic institution, but I would think, as a parent, you can learn things out there working together and the struggle together that maybe that's where you're going to do it. And I think that, we can have that impact and, help teach those guys those values and come together. I think that, my thing is to preserve the fantastic foundation that's already been built, expand, where we can, but really keep things what most important. For me, it's faith, family, and football. And as you know, I don't hunt, fish, golf. I'll get a hobby one day. I'm working on it, but I'm very blessed to be here. But just love them with deep your soul. And I'd close with, I told him today, I looked at him and said, I don't know you guys very well. And this was before the 4 late players walked in. I was like, I felt like I got 60 new sons today that I got to learn. I have to get to know really, really quickly. So
thank you for that. You talked about faith, family, and football, and before we get to football, let's talk about family. One of the reasons I was brought in and we met is you and I have a very special bond and kinship because we're both fathers of children with special needs. Talk a little bit about your family and then maybe even how that element has impacted your life and even your decision.
Yeah, well, I think that when you're a football coach and you put the hours in, you need a very supportive family, and you value sometimes the little time you have. But a brief story, my wife Emily, we've been married almost 20 years, and you learn a lot. My first year at Newman, 2000, you don't rank players, but as a 23-year-old, I would say my least favorite lineman was this kid named Ben Taylor. He would not squat, he would not listen, and I was a little more spirited. I get upset very easily, and one night at an old club in New Orleans called Tipitina's, this cute little girl came up and said, "You coach my brother, Ben Taylor." And I said, "There's no way that's your brother." and that is my wife. So it goes to tell you, I ended up marrying her, and it's a true story. She works at her alma mater. And we'll get into it, Shannon Soares is the greatest recruiter in the history of the world. She was, yes, she was. And I told Walt if I'm long-winded, he's going to give me a key. But give you an idea, we'll get into it later. Christmas Eve in New Orleans, everybody goes out downtown to get a nice meal. I'm with my parents, and one of my closest confidants, Baldwin Montgomery, who knew all about Westminster. He came up and he still calls her E.T. He goes, E.T., Nels, Westminster. And she said, let me tell you what's not going to happen. Good luck in Atlanta. That's not going to happen. Well, fast forward 2 weeks later, one visit, she walked up, she goes, I cannot wait for our new home and all the things that it's going to offer. She set my wardrobe, and she hadn't cared about a polo in 20 years. So she's very excited, but she's the head coach. As you alluded to, my oldest, Taylor, she's my easiest child in many ways, and she's special needs, high functioning with autism. And I've learned so much about what's really important. Her best day is not mine, and so it's really been a learning experience. I continue to learn, and she's all into taekwondo, horseback riding. She is always active. She's super happy. She's going to graduate next year from St. Therese Academy. My twins are both in 7th grade and coming to a high academic institution. I can tell you I'm very fortunate that they have the looks and the cuteness of their mother, but they have the ADD of their father. So they do not go to Newman. They go to St. George's, another independent school, but they work very hard. They're all going to finish out, but everyone's thrilled about the opportunity. They're really, they're my rock. Marty Schottenheimer used to say, it's a fist. You get through your wife, me, and that's my rock. So I'm going to miss them, but they're all very excited. John Nelson, buddy, can already tell you, I've watched the Westminster State Championship on YouTube 3 times, and that was an unbelievable comeback. He already knows the roster. He's excited. So they're super supportive, super happy. And again, I think I'd close saying the biggest thing about Westminster, it's not just an institution, it's a community. We could feel that. And at dinner, one of the other coaches talked about how his daughter, who didn't even attend Westminster, felt like a graduate and still watched all the streams. And that stuff is very, very important. And the authenticity certainly resonated.
Thank you. You alluded to it a little bit about how we have the best recruiter in the country. Talk a little bit about how the process happened, and how were you able to decide to leave your alma mater after 19 years as a head coach?
I've been asked this many times over the past 5 weeks. So I think it starts with me as, when you're a walk-on offensive lineman, recruiting is relative. So you're not used to the people coming after you and whatnot. But really, I think it's important that the community knows I was one of those people, very loyal, happy where my feet were. While there a few opportunities have come along, I've just been steadfast and had a lot of loyalty. And one day, as the Finney Group reached out. I got an email, and if anyone ever goes to New Orleans, her name is Mary Hoffman. She's a director of advancement, my co-advisor. And I said, you know anything about Westminster? She said, close the door right now. And she said, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take this call. And I said, okay. And I talked to Shannon, and during COVID, you have Zooms. It was the most unbelievable Zoom, and that's where I got to see the first Wildcat in the background. It was going through, but we just had a great Zoom, and it felt like a conversation. I didn't have preparation. There weren't questions. We just had a conversation, and I woke up the next day, and it was still in my head a little bit. And Shannon's pretty persistent in a good way. She said, I'll leave you alone, and the next day at 10 o'clock, it's just one question. So she'd go through, and for me, it was kind of off of a movie. I woke up on New Year's Day, and I talked to her. I looked at my wife, and I said, I got to go see this place. And I was very important on my own dime. She got mad. Westminster didn't pay for the miles. I took my Jeep, drove up 7 hours, got here, and got to know her. And to be honest with you, first it took my breath away. And what Shannon did was she brought me not just to the other coaches, but it was the coaches of every sport, the facilities team, so many administrators, and every single person. There was such an alignment and such a belief in the community, and you could see the love for Westminster. And we never even talked about what we would think. I joked in the end, I was like, do you even want to talk about offense or my philosophy? We never even did that, but she was pretty on top of it. And, I think that the integrity piece, when she went through, and we'd always joke, it's just exploratory. Well, where it came that, she was like, please make sure you let your headmaster know everything was done with such a level of detail, such a level of integrity. I went through my itinerary today, and it's a ringer in a good way, where you don't waste a minute. Everything is just excellence. And I think not just an ambassador of Westminster, I think I would say this, that, I'm glad it's not being streamed what I'm about to say, but at Newman I've probably had 6 athletic directors. I have never in my life met someone like Shannon Soares. I wake up excited, and her vision, the things that she wants for the players, and none of the credit. That's it. She's always in the background, and she, on my first meeting going, she teared up a little. I started tearing up. I was like, why am I almost crying? I don't even know what's going on. So, just fell in love with the community. Her beautiful family. They came again with a little Walt the last time to see me out the door, but that passion, that authenticity, attention to detail. In the end, every single person in my life that is near and dear, whether it was my brother who said I was crazy, or my dad who thinks I'm still 18 years old, or everyone said the same thing. You have to go to Westminster. This is a non-decision for you. And I really, while the community is phenomenal and all that, I would not be here without her. And I am all in, fully invested with my full heart. So again, yeah, she's pretty special. One more time.
So you'll be moving up here, coming up full time in May, and as soon as you finish up there. And today you've been put through the ringer with meetings with players, with coaches. As you kind of reflect on that, Nelson, what are your plans to connect with students kind of between now and May, and then what do you need from those student athletes as well?
Well, first to the parents, there will be a calendar. Don't worry, I know how that works. I'm not going to go in and change them. But no, I think my plans are this. First, as you allude to, my family is going to finish. I think that's very important, especially for my children. They finish this next step. It gives them a minute to kind of warm up. I think my wife's kind of excited in a weird way. She's like, I don't really see you much during football anyway. We'll come up, we'll visit, it'll be great. But no, I'm going to, every window possible, and we have Mardi Gras, which I didn't really like anyway. I don't really do that. And spring break, I'll be here. During COVID, we were under certainly as big restrictions as anyone. So I know Westminster and Coach Jerry's been really big with the installs and all those things. As we collaborate the staff and formulate a plan, we're going to use that. Be creative with your meeting space, 25 minutes. Obviously, Central, it's a little easier for me. I'm dialed back. So I think start as you steal time as much as possible. There will be a few Fridays where I'm just going to go and just come up here, and just as much meeting as possible. I think there is no spring football opt-out, which is huge for us, where I think I can really connect virtually as much in person as possible, get with the staff in terms of really solidifying our practice plans, our offense, defense, special teams ideology, working together with that. We've already also great start, and I think really being unified in our message to the kids. You want to make sure they get the right information, and obviously still serving through June as the head football coach at Newman. We're working hard. We're close. Thankfully, my alma maters have been very gracious and asked for my help in it a little bit, so I feel really good that we're on the path there. And as I told the players, I have a lot of Newman football gear, and I haven't worn a shirt since. The only reason my mom gave me this green jacket for Christmas. It's the same color, it's a little bit more Kelly, so I was able to pull that off. So, no, I'm going to go all the way throughout. as our seniors go, I'm an upper school advisor. I'm going to stay for commencement, get up first thing in the morning, and I'm going to go. So I'm going to drive up here all the way through. I'm probably not going to go home during the summer. They can, I'll take the scenic route a few times, come up and see me, and I'm locked in all the way through, getting used to, I know, their dead periods, all those things. And like I say, I'm wired, so I'm already kind of here. But I'm going to probably be here a lot more than you think. So that's just a summary, I would say.
And we've got a lot of parents here tonight. What kind of, as you come and become a part of this community, what do you need from parents as partners in this process?
Well, I think that the relationship piece is very, very important to me. I'd like to, really get to know you all and just your thoughts. I'm trying to do a lot of listening and not a lot of talking. I think the traditions of Westminster are very, very important. I had a great talk today with the senior players about the things they love most, and as I told them, and I think you all can help with things you do, that my goal is that in 5 years that those guys come back and they recognize so many parts of what they do. We're not here to change uniforms, things like that. We do have some fun things. I think Mom's Night, I don't know if y'all have done that. Have you ever tackled your son before? It's a big hit. We've got that. It's a lot of fun. I've showed Shannon video for that. So, we want to have fun. I think believe in community. I think from me is, patience to some areas, but I do think that it's okay if you reach out. Reach out with questions. I think the worst thing is something lingering. If you have any questions, kind of my motto, and I'm not going to jump to the early thing, after the game, I heard it was 24 hours before you write the text, those things. But no, come with questions. Anything that you all think. I really believe this. Just the opportunity and trust to coach your sons is enough. I really believe that from all the parents, and I just think again, just how excited I am. But you can reach out with any questions. The calendar. I don't know if that's a question coming. It is, so we'll wait on that. But no, I'm here. Any questions, reach out. I'm an open book and by myself, so I have a lot of time. But I just look forward to getting to know everybody more than anything else.
Thank you. Switching gears a little bit now. Middle school athletics has received a lot of attention this year at Westminster. Big shout out to Matt Teneski and the work he's doing with our middle school kids. Seeing some amazing changes there. Can you talk about how you've engaged younger age groups around the sport of football and created a pipeline at Newman, a school which is very similar from an academic standpoint, from a student enrollment, but also with limited admission spots? So talk a little bit about what you've done there.
Well, I know we've talked about it. I'm very, very passionate about that. I always say we. If I say me, I got to catch myself. When I came in as a staff, we really had to earmark middle school football. We had I try not to talk about it too much, but the first year I went in, there was this little kid running around with 14 other guys, and it was 6th through 8th, and we had to go. The little kid turned out to be pretty good. It was Odell Beckham, and when we were at Chalmette, I remember playing, and there was one coach and no trainer, and and I said, we got to really work on this. So it was a very collaborative, all-out effort. I think that things we've done at Newman first, I think from a middle school perspective, I've gone to every single practice every day and make sure that go in, connect, make sure that those guys know that they're important. We've used our football camps as an avenue. I think that Westminster, the integrity, there's you got to fit a certain intangible for admittance to Westminster, and that's an avenue to help. For James White, that's where he almost got me. The young man that Miss Diane. Those are the moments. Well, James is one of those guys where you don't know what you don't see, and sometimes it's a football camp, an opportunity on campus just to see what's possible, and just expose, get guys in the right way. It's not there's such a thing as good recruitment and not recruiting per se. So I think it could start there with that. Some of the things we've done in middle school are, from a numbers perspective, I think we were 30s last year. I believe 6 through 8 through 84. It's the biggest middle school program on campus. Our head middle school coach, we call him the director of middle school operations. We always break out our teams, whether it's 6 or 7, 8. I think it depends on the group. We really group that each year depending on players. I think there's a lot of questions about size disparity. You can go through and how does this little guy? How does a little guy get an opportunity opportunity. Well, we've used color-coded systems to where if you were on, for instance, the red, the white, or the black defense, even if a group runs out and they get one or two plays, and sometimes you get launched a little bit, you still got one or two plays. And we want 100% retention. That is our goal, and we're pretty close. Most of our guys that come through, our roster is swelled. The first year at Newman, 30 after when I took in, it was 39 players, 4 coaches. Typically, we're at 72 to 80. That's because of our middle school. And then lastly, outside coaching is alignment, using the same terminology, using the same fundamentals. If everybody else talked about Arch Manning, if you ask him to this day, what's bullet right, purple 61, spacing bone, he can tell you because he was running that. So if you can find those things and they can do it, they can play earlier and also get somewhat of a mastery and also keep it really fun. I think we, the other thing, and we've talked about it, where we have some tight heat protocols, but we try and do enough where our varsity players, we like middle school games under the light. So we always say, if we're breaking and those guys are coming out and they're waiting, go high five somebody, go out there, hold a chain, do that. And so they become their heroes. Eli Friend was one. He wears number 12 because it was his favorite quarterback when he was in middle school. But it's total alignment, and it is that important. And that's, again, one of the things I feel that's the key to sustained success.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's continue on talking a little bit more about football. Ask the question of what does a typical season look like for players, knowing you may want to make some changes, put your own stamp on it. But let's start with kind of what does it look like between now and the end of school this year?
Well, I think first, and this is hopefully good information for parents as well, coming in for us in New Orleans, I think you all have a phenomenal high-performance program. Much like that, I think that should be celebrated at Westminster, where all the student athletes, you've got 0 block, you've got 2 lifts, and it's a must. You need to get your lifts, go through, participate all the way through. So I think it starts there. At Newman, sometimes it's only 6 kids that are football only. Everybody else doing that, we're acclimated. I think Westminster does a fantastic job. I think that the installs are going to be new. We're not able to do some of those things, but not getting too in the weeds, but I think we'll be able to once a week starting in March be able to slowly bring in the schematics. I think we've got a great staff we can collaborate with, and they can work all the way through. Like I said, there's no spring, so hey, working through the summer, I think obviously, hey, what's the big question? I think I can tell you right now, it's a 4-day split, Monday through Thursday, just like we did at Newman. And as I say what we did at Newman, there'll be tweaks, but I want to keep it as tight as possible. I know when it comes to vacations and all the things on your schedule, there is nothing worse than seeing a document and saying, wait a minute, I was planning this and whatnot. Coming in, we're really big on that. I think that whatever we put out to parents, whether it's in a document, email, we will stick to it. And that's what we've always done. I think that going through our summer, 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday split, we believe that everything should be done in the morning. With the weight room space at Westminster, we did 2 separate blocks in the morning at Westminster. They can all go together, which is great. That's a collaborative piece. You go in, all the team leaders, things like that. We've always asked for 20 lifts. If you get 20 lifts in the summer, that's how you're going to be able to start the first, for us, Jamboree. There are no 2 scrimmages, but if you don't get it, you're not going to start because you can find the minimum. As I look at the calendar and look at it, I always say, hey, it's got to be an attainable goal that allows for college visits, that allows for camps. There are some crossover. If someone's going to a select camp, it could be baseball or whatnot. Hey, we're not going to dock if you do that, but there has to be a goal. There has to be a minimum. Obviously, I think that you get a break, you go into things, and getting into the season, going forward, I should touch on, I do think that can be really good. Hopefully looking forward to, in the summer, bringing more in the morning. I think it's hard to 2 a day and bring guys in the afternoon. We do think that 1 night a week in collaboration, again, with the staff and everyone else for 7-on-7 and lineman night is very, very important. That's where you can get your development. At Newman, humbly, we've won, I think, 6 LSU passing championships, done that, and we actually have gone more to a league-based system to really run the stuff that we run. So planning for one, and whatever that is, that will be given. You will get that in advance. So there's nothing worse than, hey, by the way, we're going to throw a so-and-so on Thursday. Well, there could be a lacrosse, something that, so we're not going to do that. But we go all the way through, getting into August. We do not do 2-a-days. Basically, my ideology has always been, you practice in the morning, you fix it in the afternoon. Meetings swings, lift, flip, offense, defense, and then what does a regular work week look like for us? I think it's very, very important that, as we come in with student athletes, PowerPoint presentations on who the opponent is. I know everybody love it. I hear a lot about Lovett, but it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Lovett or Pace or these guys. We want to focus on the opponent, who they are, what they do, not what the name of the institution is. So I'd like to think we can bring a lot of those PowerPoint presentations in, 20, 25 minutes, show it, then you can, talk it, walk it all the way through, structurally in the afternoons, a lot like is already done now in the 2-hour windows. You got to get 3 lifts a week. I think that's already in play. I think one of the kids, some of them brought up this morning, what happens if you don't? Well, for us, if you don't, you're not going to start the next game. And I gave the ideology. Now, there are family emergencies and there are sicknesses. I'm not that mean, so things happen. But we had an offensive guard, loved him dearly, and he was all the way through Wrigley Stewart to the end. I kept warning him, and all of a sudden Friday he said, "Coach, I signed in," and he sat. And while he was devastated, he said, "I understand." And that was a teachable moment. And so I think that's one of the things we do. And then working our way through, we want to be fast, efficient, script everything, use our meeting structure. I won't bore you with that. But Saturdays, I am a big believer. Here we go. Saturdays, I'm a big believer in recovery and working on looking at the game. Again, making the corrections, offensively, defensively, flipping it, and moving on. With technology and sideline structure, you could do it, you could be efficient, and you can have a good day. I can assure you, if Arch Manning and if you ever want to talk about it, I will, everyone does, but it was crazier than you thought. He didn't miss one game or one recruiting visit ever in that structure, and if there is a time where there's an emergency or a game you have to go, if you got to make up the lift, you got to do that, we'll work with it. So I think it starts there, and I won't bore with all the Sunday stuff, but I could go on and on. But structurally, I think it marries up fairly well to a lot of things that are in place right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about game scheduling. For those of you who haven't, I know the athletic department sent out some pre-read material. There's some great articles if you want to get to know more about Coach Stewart and kind of his success and philosophy. But there was this past season, a Go Prep article written right after your St. Charles Catholic game, where you were quoted as saying, "If you want to be the best, you play the best. That's why we schedule them." I love that. Go right at them. Talk a little bit about that philosophy in your coaching.
Well, Coach Romberg and I actually talked about it, and I think one of the biggest things that impresses me when you look at the schedule is playing in tight games. And I think you look at the history, Westminster, if it's 7, 8 games, but if you get in those tight situations and those moments, how it feels, learning, again, to handle the anxiety, work your way through, and also know that you're going to need to play your absolute best. In New Orleans, I can say sometimes there are problems in our district. Like I told you, it's no fun when, saw Eli Friend, his numbers would be better, but we won 6 games in running clock, and it's at 42, and it's going. That's not fun for anyone. We love the plan, the preparation. I think you need to schedule smart. I think that, the physicality of football is real. I think that, the misconception, I think we marry Westminster fairly well, is that you only have so many linemen, so you got to make sure that you can match up and be competitive settings. There are some where maybe the disparity can be too strong. I think it can be a disservice to the kids, but you talked about St. Charles Catholic. I think that sums up my scheduling. Was Eli came in this year. St. Charles Catholic's a school that multiple times state champion. People gave us 2 chances, little and 0, and we scheduled them. I talk about Hyde Manning, who was the funny Manning. He came up and said, "Coach, I love you, but good luck with 0-1. So I was like, great. So we started this season going at what's unique when you can put a really tough opponent early. They don't have 7 to 8 games to really get used to and go through all the data and what you did. And, as you know, I'm a big proponent of Coach Sarkeesian's system. I've looked in terms of openers and the scripting and that, and we were able to jump out, go through, and that really gave ourselves confidence going through. I think scheduling is something that you have to look at your region, which obviously you have, and if you've got a real tough region, a coach once advised me, you don't learn to, hit fastballs by just hitting, BP all day. So we really take a lot of pride in it. You have to get to know the system, whether it's PowerPoints or whatnot. But a lot of that, again, I think is in place here. I think that, I was so impressed with the physicality and the toughness that I saw on film, as I told you, and just how they ran to the ball, tackled all those things, and had already done a really good job. But I think continuing that and scheduling smart, I was thinking that's all very good, but if I'm 1-8 at the end of the year, we're 1-8, maybe he's not that good. So you don't want to get some wins when you can in there. But at a school that embodies excellence, I think it's very important you try and just hit that bar.
For those of you who don't know, Coach Stewart is quite a film junkie. I understand he's already broken down all of our game film. You just hit some of what you've seen in our team. Let's talk a little bit about kind of your coaching philosophy and thoughts. Offense. Let's start with offense, then we'll go defense, and Westminster's known as Kicker U. Then we'll come up with some special teams at the end.
Well, I said a Kicker U, but I like that. Well, I do think this philosophically from an offensive standpoint. We have very smart student athletes. I think they can take a lot. I think from an offensive standpoint, it's not just again what you carry; it's what you can pull out. So if you have a robust game plan, you could pull out whether I thought Neiman and I could have gone for 4 hours today, but whether it's quick game or RPO or play action, you don't have to do those things every week. I think offensively, from an organizational standpoint, you can kind of play the game before the game. You can really put together a good plan, use the kids to go out, kind of play the odds, see what you think, really put those guys in situations. One thing I take a lot of pride in is the evolution of offense. I've been, I was talking to Coach, he was, Coach Romberg Dave was talking about when they first brought the veer in 91. I was like, that's amazing. I didn't get that. But, whether it be 10 personnel, I think offensively, too, you have to adapt to what you have. Looking at film, 2 really good tight ends did a really good job this year, some duo moving guys around. I think you have to build around what you have. And then, again, mastery so that guys can play fast. I like to go fast, get up on the ball, the illusion of tempo. Coach has done a great job of slowing it down when you need to, the game within the game. Hope this isn't boring. I'm sorry. I'm just talking to him. But when you need to kick a field goal, when you need to punt, understanding how to take a lead, kids understanding those moments. And, offensively, I think is like art. I think you need to just work tirelessly, what a great staff here. You can already see as you build the call sheet and pull it. I think it's very important that you replicate in practice what you're going to do in a game. The worst thing in the world is to say, hey, throw the dig and do this. And what? We haven't done that. So when I was young, you don't want to do that. So I think you can pull that defensively. A lot, again, of what you see being multiple fronts, a lot of movement up front, things already see, whether it's twist stunts and all of a sudden know how to play a tight end. Watch a game there, they did a great job of walking the linebackers down, filling, mixing up in the secondary. Can't just be one thing. If it's not like Peyton, all right, rock down, all that. No, have big quarters, one high, cover 3. And just like on offense, play to your strengths. If you're big up front, you can load up great. At Newman, we were real light. We had a big nose guard. We built a mint defense in 2 years, and we've been pretty good. How many games on the last 2? You just again build around that, and then defensively run to the ball, attack, play tenacious, play under control. You can do that. You don't need to play reckless, and I think you can do that. I think things you've already seen. And again, for Coach Romberg, thing you see again, great attention to detail with special teams. We've got an excellent kicking coach. I've had that conversation with Joe today. We talked about it, the importance of your kickers, the importance that it's like swing coaches. If you go over there for 5 minutes, like, hey, take a few swings, you're good. No, I said, he's going to crush me if he comes back in 4 years and we're shanking 20 yards. So we're not going to do that. But, taking the same amount to that, and don't cut corners, right? If you can't do, you have to really be really balanced in all 3 phases, play to your strengths, look at the film. And again, I think we just have such smart athletes at Westminster, just like Newman. And I think that, just build around their strengths.
Thank you. One of the things that has excited many of our families is the college recruiting process. You're known as a player's coach, someone who tirelessly advocates for his players who want to play at the next level. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts or philosophy on college recruiting?
That's, how I feel about that. I think it is all about relationships. I do think it's a responsibility, not knowing a lot here of the head coach to form relationships with each and every recruiter that comes on campus. Part of being a coach is also promoting your players and promoting them correctly, making sure that we don't set their ceiling. I have so many players that, hey, I'd like to go to Florida or Notre Dame. I'm not going to say, oh, I don't care, that's my job. No, well, let's put together the best highlight film. Let's do the evaluation. Let's get that film out to anyone and everyone. And as you do that, you formulate relationships. I think colleges learn to trust you. We're very very fortunate that, and just like Westminster, we've had kids go on, be successful, and make sure, again, that you promote. It's to me a sin when a student athlete feels like they're leaving and they weren't supported. They weren't given the opportunity to at least know, whether it's Texas, Rhodes, Harvard, Yale, all those different things. I can assure you, if there's a coach and if they're in Georgia, we want them to come through Westminster, and is a part of everything that I do. I've told Shannon that. I'll quick story, and this is an awesome one. Just the other day, coming to Westminster, and I'm dialed in, and I got a text from the wide receiver coach at Yale, Coach Stewart. I know you're going in. Do you have a minute? I said, I do, and fit him in literally. And I'd teach 5 lower school PEs. I don't think Shannon's going to make me do that, but I'm still going to do it. Love doing it, but there was a tight window. So he came running in, and we're going through, and all of a sudden I look, and the internet's out, and he looked at me and said, I know you have one. His name's George Loop. Great player, slot. We love him. Here to probably offer us. Everyone else said, we have a running back. His name is Jake Randall. His brother back to Texas. I'm trying to go through. So I take up my iPhone. Thank goodness it's LT in the building. We go through it, and again, he goes, can you call him in? What's his GPA? I said, if he's a 3.4, it's not very high, but he takes 1 AP. We can go through this. I promise you we'll work. Will you at least recruit him? Well, he walked in. I swear to God, he looked in the room. He said, George Loop, this. And he goes, Jake Randall, congratulations. You have your first offer. And it was the most unbelievable. I called his mom, and she was crying. And she started crying again more about Westminster and all that. But what it means is, but they'll be okay. But the biggest thing is that those moments you never know. James White talked about Cornell. We were the last stop of a coach one day that came through. Kim Dameron was his name. He was an old Ole Miss guy that knew me just because of Mannings. And, hey, anybody, I said, I'd like you to take a look at a kid. James White could not even afford to go up to camp. We had community that worked together to send him to camp. He ran a good 40, and I said, I will mortgage anything which you want. He graduated in 4 years. He played linebacker. He is incredibly successful, and those are the moments that you live for. But it's tireless. It can't be something that you do, all the time. And if a student athlete at Westminster wants to play college football, there is a place they can go. And I will again assure you, I'm passionate about it because I'm passionate about the players. And looking at those guys, Jay Tyler, 5'6", that's a real story. He got the last scholarship slot, and Harvard was getting ready to cut him through it. And, thank God they did. And he returned punts. He did all that. They took care of him. He went all the way through. And I remember, calling Pete Alomar, their special teams coach, every Saturday. But when you get to know coaches and they trust you, it's amazing what you can do. And to me, the possibilities are endless in an institution like Westminster. That's my 2 cents. Sorry.
That's awesome 2 cents. Coach, you've been a very active member of the board of directors of the Louisiana Football Coaches Association. I've watched many of the broadcasts where you will be a broadcaster on a TV game. I've heard you call radio games. I've seen you do podcasts. You're obviously a very active member in the community. Can you talk about the importance of that, and then how we might be able to support you here in Atlanta as you begin that journey?
Well, I think the importance of it is if you're going to be the face of the program, you're an extension of the institution. When you're going to have Westminster and that logo everywhere you go, I think is a representation of who you are. It's one of those things where it's got to be a part of your life, and the promotion of this institution, of the program, those things aren't hard. They just require time. And if I think people in the community can trust you, whether it reach out to the Georgia Coaches Association, which I've actually already done, to try and get involved, learn that. Getting involved, and like you talk about, it's unbelievable. If you go, I did last year 7 state championship teams on 2, and again, not me, it's just kind of worked out, but on 2 different radio stations. That meant that how many people got to hear head football coach, Newman School. Now for, again, a director of program, Westminster. The more you can do that, the more it represents the institution. So I'm again, it's part of the DNA, I think, of that. Because, again, the more you can promote it, and especially the institution where, hey, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it with integrity. We're going to do it with honor. And if you do it that way and people go through, they'll want to come at least see your institution. And I think that I can tell you, especially with the love and, the outpouring of support Westminster, if you love your institution, you really feel it, you're going to do those things. And I just think that it's something I kind of fell into my second year as head coach, and it's expanded and done the Friday night football stuff. But it really, truly is about the institution. And so I just think it's another avenue to get, again, the brand out there, the name out there, what we're doing. I have loved so much the collaboration of all the coaches. I mean, I love every one of them. I look at Alex in the back of the room, highest energy girls. Newman, I said, they're not ready yet, but they're talking about coming up. Everyone loves Westminster, and everyone's happy for each other. If we go out and I see him in the community on a show, that's awesome. That's what you want to do. You want to love the coaches. I'm not excited that, Shannon may make me say a few words at the basketball game. I'm nervous, but what I am excited about is to finally see both basketball programs go out and compete tomorrow night. And you just see it all the time at Westminster. So, again, it's just a part of it.
Thank you. One final question for you tonight. So you've been very gracious to talk about a number of topics. If you look kind of through at the end of year one, what would you say would be your goals for yourself and for the program in that first year?
First, I think is to preserve the foundation of the things that are most important. The chants, the traditions, love, the chapel before, the game day atmosphere, all the things I think that are very important to the alums, to the community. You had 2 NFL players today. I said the same thing. Y'all got to, let me know. So I think preserving that. Secondly, accountability and on time at meetings. I'm going to keep saying that. That's going to happen.
Parents hear that. I think I've heard it 3 times.
But I think not being focused on the record, it's about the production, what the kids put on film, what they got out of it. And I think more than anything, most importantly, talking to the seniors, did they love it? What did they get out of it? Were they able to have the best possible experience, regardless what the record is? And that's always been my personal goal, that, again, whether it's the, highest win, a tough loss, regardless, that they learn to be better young men. They want to come back, support Westminster, and hopefully I do an okay job taking for a Hall of Fame legend. That's what's really, really important. But again, it's going to be in everything that you do. It's tough to just bottle it down, but just couldn't be more excited.
Thank you, Coach Stu. With that, I'm going to welcome Shannon back to the stage to close us out, but let's give him another round of applause right here. Thank you.
Who's ready for football season? When we think about the purpose of athletics within the context of our school, our purpose here with Westminster is to provide powerful moments through sport to the young people that walk our campus every day and to the families that support them. And our goal is to go out there and hire coaches that can help shepherd our kids through transformative experiences through sport. We've done that. We found Coach Stewart, and now the real fun begins. So Nelson, everybody in this room stands here ready today to support you. Let's go, Cats.
Thank you all so much.